Hello everyone, welcome back to the IndieGeekGuy channel, and today we're back with Black Sails. Last time on Black Sails, horrific death for Blackbeard, scraped under the bottom of the ship, but in his death, he beat Woodes Rogers. He said, look, you're not getting rid of us that easily. I'm literally going to make myself the physical representation of how hard it's going to be to get rid of all of us by not dying. As much as you scrape me under the bottom of this boat, I will not die until it is basically impossible. And to the end where Woodes Rogers has to shoot him in the head. He probably saved the rest of his crew in doing that, and he also made a point to Woodes Rogers, and there's obviously the whole sort of visual storytelling of the Woodes Rogers thinking he's in control of the situation, but really it's the guy who's being scraped underneath his boat who's in control. It was a great moment. It's sad that he's gone. It's definitely sad we're not going to get to see more of Blackbeard and various other characters, but we'll see where the story propels us forward from there. And then on top of that, Nassau is, by the looks of it, now in control of Silver, Flint, and everyone else, basically. The tables have turned, and things are more on their side. They have the island. Eleanor's gone to hide in the fortress, with Max, presumably. Billy, who the fuck knows where that's going? I don't know if Billy and Flint are going to be able to reconcile what happened with them. So I'm interested to see that. That's like near the top of my list for this episode to see how that's going to be handled. But yeah, there's all sorts going on. Best thing to do is just to jump into the next episode and see what happens, I suppose. But before we do, please remember to hit the thumbs up button if you do enjoy the reaction and the review that happens afterwards. Also consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos. That's more reactions, reviews, gameplay, all the good stuff. You won't regret it, and I'll appreciate it a great deal. There's also links to Discord down below and other social stuff, but Discord's there if you want to join the community, talk to other people, all that good stuff. I'd encourage you to, and we can start building that up. But, you know, if you're interested, it's there. But that's everything. So let's jump into the next episode of Black Sails. Jesus. Oh my god, that's so... Oh.
Get him back in the barracks. Asta's fallen.
Well, this is how Billy fucked some other people over, it looks like. Oh man, that guy was just going for it. He was just like, I'm getting him, I don't care. Jesus Christ. These people are like nuts. Like zombies. These pirates are like turning into zombies. Like, no regard for their own like safety whatsoever. Oh my god, that guy's just carrying ahead. This is mine now. I take it home with me.
What did he think? He's gonna get a different answer from me.
Well, if in doubt, ask someone else, I suppose.
The more they realize there is no daylight between you and I, the more they will learn to accept our shared authority.
I have a feeling this is where the collapse is going to come in, right? Like, I'm so worried about this, about the eventual division.
If Billy isn't in this room within the hour, I promise him, he will regret it.
I mean, you got to do something about the Billy problem.
You heard him.
You got to do something about the Billy situation. Like, you can't just let it lie.
I killed him, Captain Beringer, right in the square.
My ship in the harbor, the one that was to depart for Philadelphia with my wife, was she still there when you left?
Yeah, the guy left in charge really fucked you over, didn't he? Didn't do anything right. Lost Nassau, didn't send Eleanor off to Philadelphia. He couldn't have got anything more wrong.
A very wise woman recently told me that one should not allow their personal feelings to cloud the reality of the situation.
Was it given before or after he tried to kill the two of you?
Here he comes.
Alright, here we go. Let's see what happens with this.
The Boyd brothers launched a raid on one of the governor's munitions stores. We just managed to put it down. We can all agree it helps none of us to have those idiots armed to the teeth.
Yeah. As our relationship with those communities is likely severely damaged, that she proceed to the estate at once and attempt to repair that relationship to whatever extent is possible.
basically belief made it a lot harder than what it would have been.
Of course, Billy would never violate the trust I place in him as a brother. For if Billy were to do something as disloyal as that, I'd stop at nothing to see that offense repaid against him.
I will see to it.
I should fucking hope so.
Like, he is so betrayed by him right now. Interesting how Flint... I fully expected Flint to be maybe more angry at Billy, but he seems to have taken the advice on board to... Okay, he fucked up, but he has influence, and we need to find the right way to use it and to reconcile, which is... Thank God!
Which of your men is going to be the first? Mr. Carver.
Okay, or he's just going to choose whoever the biggest guy on the crew is. Also probably a smarter play than putting himself forward. Because there's no way Jack was going to win a one-on-one fight with this guy. This whole situation is stupid, though. It's so dumb. Bunch of angry redcoats like, we want to have a fight, so we're going to beat up some prisoners. Fucking morons. What the fuck? He gets a hammer? That's fucking cheating. You're cheating. Give him a hammer too. Ugh! Right, you lost. The moment you picked up that hammer, you lost this fight, okay?
You know as well as I do, the only reason he wants them free is because the only soldiers in town are mine.
From the moment he began concocting this story, I knew it was with an eye towards pushing him out.
How long ago was it that the two of us agreed that Flint threatened to be the end of us all? We survived him. You and I. And now...
Interesting choice of words. Interesting choice of words there. See, I get where Billy's coming from. I understand his headspace and all of this. I just don't agree with him.
I understand that you've come to care for her. Maddie, if anyone is at risk of being consumed by his need for this war, it's her.
Trying to poison this well. Everyone.
Time's up.
Everyone trying to be like, yo, he's bad for you, Silver. He's bad for you. Even though amongst everything that's currently happening, Flint seems to have his head firmly on his shoulders more than anyone. At this point, he seems to have gotten over a lot of the darkness that he was carrying around last season. I mean, I think the story is absolutely going to go in that direction. I think John is going to think that he can do this better on his own, and I assume that Maddie's going to be the crux to that, like she's going to die or something. Like, I can see that happening, and that's where the separation's going to come in, but I will cross my fingers and hope, all the hopes, that doesn't happen in a way that's going to really upset me.
I wonder, ma'am, if he might want you to leave. Especially when he learns of your current state of being. I beg your pardon, ma'am.
She pregnant?
Fearing the thought of you bearing a child in this environment.
There it is. Be some shit if it was Vane's kid, right? I don't know if the timeline would quite work up for that, though.
If we don't try something they ain't expecting, then we're all fucking dead.
Send Anne in. Send her in. You'll fucking own them all. That is your biggest mistake, my man. You're sending in the best fighter they probably have on this crew. Oh, she sees weapon. She sees weapon. If he gets a hammer, she gets a bit of glass. It's only fair. Oh. Oof. Oh. Oh, what a fucking cheap shot. I mean, this whole situation is cheap. Oh, she's gone for the double. She's gone for the double. Oh! Oh my god, she's... Well, I mean, was there really any surprise? Oh my god. Well, this went from bad to potentially great, but everyone's dying, so maybe not. Oh, Fuck, yeah, fuck that guy. Get rid of him. Get rid of him. Oh, what a hero. Yeah, fucking use that hammer, Jack. Fucking... Come on now, do not do this. Do not have an episode with Blackbeard gone and then Anne immediately right next. I don't know. She's still breathing, but it ain't looking good.
This man, we were told, found it profitable to offer his services to wealthy families, some of the most prominent in London on occasion.
What families?
What families?
Do you know what families in London made use of this?
I have no idea.
Where's this going? Okay. We're just gonna leave that, are we? That's it. That seemed like a thing.
If nothing else, this is a good reminder that, without a doubt, she is the point at which I'm at my most vulnerable. The thought of losing her.
Would leave him down a very similar path to which Flint has already walked.
Wouldn't you trade it all to have Thomas Hamilton back again? I think if he knew how close we were to the victory he gave his life to achieve, he wouldn't want me to. Assume his father was just as dark as you say, but was unable to murder his own son. Assume he found a way to secret Thomas away from London. He didn't.
Oh, okay. This is where we're going with this, is it?
The closer we get to the end of this journey, the more the contradictions will accumulate. I suppose the good news is that's how we'll know we're finally getting somewhere interesting.
God, this show, like, it does such a good job at, like, putting you in the headspaces of these people. What was once clear becomes muddy, and this show is very good at putting you in that position of, like, figuring where these people are at by putting you, the audience member, in that same headspace. I remember when those two were friends. Remember when that was a thing.
Break spirits, reassert control. It did not have the intended effect.
Makes me angry. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, there was only one way that was fucking going to go, wasn't it? Jesus.
Building strength. An army with designs on taking and holding Nassau.
Oh my god, now we've got this happening? We've only got so many episodes left. We've got a whole other army being born. I cannot believe... What? We've got 6 episodes or so left to go, and we're introducing a whole other army, a whole other situation. Jesus. What's the governor gonna do, huh? How's he gonna try and get ashore with a bunch of angry pirates in the way?
As close as we can get. Ready the men. We'll make our landing under cover of the fort's guns, reinforce them, and move to retake Nassau.
Okay, that's what he's gonna do. He answered my question, thank you. Don't know how well it's gonna go for him, but he's gonna make a play for it.
I'm prepared to surrender the governor's remaining forces to you. Control of the fort, its guns, its magazine. The unconditional release of the remainder of your prisoners.
Seems a little too good to be true. Just a little too good.
In exchange for what?
In exchange for the cash.
Ah, there it is. That's...
With the remains
that could do it.
I'm told it is.
We have partners who would almost certainly rather fight this out than lose their treasury.
Your partners are your problem.
Well, they're also yours, Eleanor. They're also your problem.
How would you see it done?
One of you surrenders himself and remains here to ensure these terms are honored.
But I don't trust her. If anything has taught me in this show, don't trust Eleanor.
Trust me.
Okay. Flint is putting himself up as the deposit, I suppose. Just trust him, John. Trust him. Just trust in Flint. He'll have a plan. I know you're going to be angry. There it is. Yep. Oh. Okay. Well, a lot happened there, and has left me with much thoughts. There's a lot of things that I feel like the show is setting up for potentials for where it could be going in the final episodes. Now, this being Black Sails, I don't know where it could go. It could very easily go in a very different direction to where it feels like it's setting itself up to go. But one thing initially, having Eleanor being pregnant, I feel like that is, the show's way to try and make me gonna be like, she's turned over a new leaf. She wants to protect her child. She's done with killing. She just wants to move on. And also, I assume she's going to die. And I assume her being pregnant is a way of, like, getting the audience to feel bad for that death, even after all the shit that she's done as of late. Like, I can feel that. I can just feel that is the setup there. That's what the show's doing with that. Like, we want you to feel bad for when she dies, which I feel is more or less certain. The moment they said that she's pregnant, I feel like that was going to come around. Like, that was what's going to happen. Because I just feel like this show is like, normally if someone's pregnant, it feels like they should be safe from any horribleness. But this being Black Sails, I feel like they will use that in a way to form tragedy and death and stuff. So that's really where my expectation is there with that. This whole episode really painted Flint in an interesting light as well, because he had a lot of conversations about, like, not necessarily about where his head is at, but they were conversations that kind of showed us where he's at in terms of how he's holding himself together in all this and what his focus is now. Something in this season that's really coming across to me is it feels like Flint, he's overcome a lot. He's obviously still carrying some of that baggage with him because that makes him who he is and why he's doing what he's doing, but it feels like he's gotten over a lot of some of the more grieving aspects of his character, and he's just trying to fulfill the thing that he came here to do, and which is essentially to stick one to England for what they did to him, his loved ones, his life. But it also feels like he's grown in a more, I don't know, like I don't think mature is the right the right word to describe it, but he's definitely grown in such a way where it feels like he's not quite as ruthless, I suppose, as where we saw him earlier in the show, and he seems a lot more focused, and like he's not doing the sort of stuff that we would have seen him doing earlier. Like, he isn't sacrificing people willy-nilly, and he's looking at the bigger picture all the time still, but he's also seems a lot more like he wants to save lives if he can. It's interesting. Like, it feels like that's where that's gradually going in terms of his headspace. To juxtapose that, it feels like a lot of the people around him are getting angrier. And they're where they were at one point sort of more upright and clear cut, like, this is a good thing, this is a bad thing, whereas Flint was much more like, you don't know, he's in this very firm grey space of like, what's he gonna do, we don't know. And now everyone else is sort of operating in that, and like Billy being the obvious broken shell where he just doesn't want Flint around. He wants to push him out. He'll do whatever he has to do, and that is blurring his judgment quite a lot. Even though he has good thoughts, he can see what's going on around him, but he is so consumed with the idea of getting Flint out of the way that is kind of ruining his own thinking and how he's influencing other people. And speaking to that, the scene where they brought Billy in to have it out, to talk about where he sees himself in this transition and like what his role is going to be and answer for what he's done, that made everything harder. Like, there's a whole other army forming because of Billy's actions, an army that Flint and co, only Maudie knows about it at the moment, and like that's going to be coming down soon. And it's a whole thing that Billy has started, a chain reaction, and the response from Flint I thought was really reserved. Like, he when face to face with Billy, he was just like, look, We need to sort this out. We need to find out where you fall into this picture, what you want, what you're hoping for. Because at the end of the day, you have influence, you have power. We need to find the right way to use that. That's where I'm focusing. Well, what are you thinking? Like, Flint's whole thing there was so much more pulled back, and I expected there to be a bit more of tension between the two of them, but Flint seemed a lot more kind of laid back, whereas Billy was still, kind of like can't stand the sight of him a little bit. But it was really John Silver who, in that scene, was really riled up at the thought of Billy threatening Flint and also Marty's life. Like they were. He just didn't hated Billy after all the time that they spent together, and Billy brought that back round on him, saying, not that long ago we seemed to be on the same page. What happened? Why are you now all pro Flint? And it just speaks volumes to both of their characters' sort of different interactions with Flint, and how one has seen the growth in Flint, whereas the other hasn't. And like I've always been saying about Billy, he just doesn't have the full picture in terms of Flint's character, and that's why he's come to this conclusion. Like, Billy is like the ultimate version of an audience member of this show who just hates everything that Flint has done up to this point. Who is not like read between the lines whatsoever, and is just like, that guy's bad, like we need to deal with it. That's who Billy is right now. Also, this episode seemed to be very clearly setting up some sort of divide between Flint and Silver. Like, Billy was saying, when's it gonna like hurt the people around you that you love? When's it gonna hurt Marty? I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing her name wrong, but if Flint's going to do this eventually, like, someone is going to get consumed that you love by his actions, and then what? What are you going to do? And then him and Silver and Flint have had conversations this episode, and obviously building up to this final bit at the end here where Flint decides, you know what, I would rather not get anyone killed either. But it also, both Flint and Eleanor seem to have this weird, like, I feel like they're both planning B, C, and D plans while simultaneously maybe trying this whole thing out that Eleanor's putting forward. Like, it's like, I don't trust Eleanor at all for the obvious reasons, but I feel like Flint is like, he has a backup in his head. He's maybe playing his own angle, something along those lines. It's interesting though. There is definitely a lot of setups for where all of this could be going. I just hope John trusts Flint. John's like Flint said to him, trust me, like, just go along with this. I know what I'm doing. Just please trust me. I don't think John is going to. I think John is probably going to falter, especially once he reports back to Billy and other people and they say, what is he doing? Why? This is why we shouldn't have him around. This is why we should have got rid of him a long time ago, because he's just going to sell us out, or whatever the fuck they're going to say about this whole situation, and that's going to influence John in some way. And then Marty's going to get back with the news that there's a whole other army raising who don't want anything to do with the pirates, and that's going to cause more. It's a whole thing. And there's 6 episodes or so left to go, and we're going to have to cover all of this. Then, on top of all that, we have the Anne situation. She looked pretty much fucked up at the end of that fight. I don't know if she's alive or dead. She was breathing, but it don't look good. It looks like a Scott situation where, like, he got shot, he was alive for a few episodes, and then died after the fact. Like, it ain't looking good for her unless they get her some medical attention. But it could well be the next episode starts and she's dead. I don't know what's happening there. I really hope she isn't, because that would suck, especially after the last episode, or the episode before, where I was like, the one thing I hope that happens is Jack and Anne get away from this shit show and they go to live some sort of life away from all of this. I know that was hopeful thinking, but here we are. Doesn't look like it's going to happen, because it looks like Anne is probably dead. And between Blackbeard dying, between Anne dying, who knows what that might do to Jack if that is the case. Like, what some sort of suicidal, like, play he's going to make to try and just take out, I don't know who, everyone maybe. I mean, I'd be here to see it, but I don't know. I just hope Jack can take control of what's left of that crew and the boat that he's on, and do something wonderful at the very least. Obviously, the other thing that has been set up here is that the treasure, namely from Treasure Island of it all, is going to be coming a part of the forefront of the finale in some way. There's going to be people going for it. Like, Eleanor wants it. Flint needs it. Like, there's clearly a focus on we're eventually going to be heading towards that in some way. And I don't know. I don't know where the show's going to end. Like, I don't know if it's going to end on a very loose retelling of Treasure Island, or if it's going to end at the point where Treasure Island would take place. Like, there's multiple options there. It would almost feel like, it would feel like a shame if we didn't get to see some sort of rendition of Treasure Island with these versions of the characters, though, wouldn't it? Like, that would feel like, come on now, we've got to see at least something of that. If after all this build-up of this, we're going into Treasure Island, the old classic tale, but with these new versions of these characters, you'd have to get a little bit of a taste of that, surely. As for like direction for the episode, the opening chase sequence with Eleanor and the redcoats trying to escape and the pirates it was like a zombie movie. Like, the way it was filmed, like, it was this very frantic, close, you could see everything that was happening, which was great. But it was kind of played like a zombie movie getaway scene. It was very interesting, like the way that was sort of being shot. Like, it was like the civilized people trying to escape the plague of the zombie pirates. Like, that's the whole vibe of that set piece at the start there. It was interesting how they went about filming that. I suppose it was like really trying to show what this whole takeover feels like from their point of view, because this is how they see the pirates. They see them as these feral savages, and they're chasing them out of their homes, and it just had that vibe. I thought the direction of that scene was particularly interesting. Also, the sort of slave beating scene at the very start of the episode was, I say this word a lot in regards to Black Sails, but it was visceral, and it was easy to see how that guy Julius, this new character who's coming in, would be just fucking done with it. Like, I will raise up and I will take back our own freedom, our way, and fuck all of you. Like, it was very, like, that scene set that up very well in terms of how they were directing that it was, yeah, like I say, it was visceral, so you could clearly understand the motivations there. The fight scene in the boat with the Jack's prisoners and the redcoats who were just pissed that they weren't going to be a part of the invasion of Nassau, and that the way that was shot, just this power play, this very petty, no real like reason for it. Like, it came across really well in how it was all shot. Like, just the bodies piling up behind the stairs just nonchalantly to them. It just made me hate all of them. Hate all of them. And then the moment that I feel like this was done purposefully. Like, the moment the guy gets a hammer, doesn't need it. He doesn't need the hammer at all. He just grabs it for the sake because he can. And there's something about how it was shot just made me go, oh, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just made me hate them even more. And there was another interesting little directional note as well when Billy comes into the room with everyone looking at him, and this massive gulf of space between him and everyone, and just sort of showing visually how far Billy has kind of fallen away from our main group when he used to be such an integral part, and he's slowly been drifting away. And then to have this scene where he is clearly standing divided from the rest of them, yeah, it's just an interesting little visual element to sort of show where he has gone on his journey as well. But no, a really good episode, a really strong episode overall. Definitely a good mix of like the sort of headspace of where people are at and where they're possibly going to be going down in these next few episodes. More setup stuff like Julius and his new army and all of that. Like, there's a lot of good stuff in here in terms of where we're going. It does concern me a little bit that there is only, a handful of episodes left to wrap this whole thing up. I have no real reason to doubt it, but I feel like they've got a lot of stuff to already cover to end on, and they're also introducing whole new stuff right as of right now to also bring around. But I have faith they will do the story that they're wanting to tell in these episodes that they've got left. So that's where we're at. So here we are. That's this episode of Black Sails. Thank you for watching this episode, guys. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up button. It helps me know you liked it. It helps it get seen by more people. Also, consider subscribing so you don't miss any future videos, reactions, reviews, gameplay, all of that good stuff. Please consider doing that. I'll appreciate it. But as for right now, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll catch you on the next one.